Single dad's disbelief turned to awe as his daughter's first chess move exposed an incredible triumph. Tom pushed the front door open, weary from another long day at the garage. The scent of motor oil clung to his skin, a bittersweet reminder of the grind he faced. As he stepped into the cramped living room, he froze. There was Lily, cross-legged on the floor, utterly absorbed in the chessboard spread before her. Pieces lay arranged meticulously, a kaleidoscope of black and white against the dull backdrop of their home. Her brow furrowed, she meticulously traced moves from a dog-eared chess manual, oblivious to the world outside. Curiosity turned into skepticism. What was she doing? This was just another phase, another fleeting interest destined to fade. He shouldn't care after all. How could chess possibly matter to someone like Lily? His throat tightened. Was she retreating again? The pressure of providing for her loomed large. The last thing he needed was to support an elaborate distraction. Yet, a part of him whispered, could this be different? In his heart, a flicker of hope battled with doubt. Was he failing her by denying her a chance? As he switched from his work boots to worn slippers, he hesitated. Maybe the local chess club could offer her an escape, a way to break through her shell, even if he felt out of place in that world. With a reluctant nod, he agreed. At first, it felt harmless, just a way for her to fill time after school. But the anxiety crept in with the tournament. As days turned into weeks, the worries inflated in his mind. What if she struggled? What if other kids laughed at her? Could she endure that pain? Their financial woes hung like storm clouds over every decision. Was he selfish for pushing her into this? Now he found himself questioning everything, battling feelings of inadequacy and fear. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day of the tournament dawned, and Tom felt the weight of eyes on him as they entered the community center. The buzz of conversations mingled with the clatter of pieces on boards, suffocating him with pressure. As he watched Lily sit before her opponent, a boy known for his aggressive tactics, his heart sank. She looked small, vulnerable. A knot twisted in his stomach. Did he make a mistake? Should he have let her stay home and play in her room? Then the game began. His pulse raced as he saw Lily hesitate before her first move. He almost called out, almost ordered her to take a safer route, but something in her face shifted. With a bold flick of her wrist, she propelled her piece across the board. Gasps erupted, even Tom felt the air seep from his lungs. In that moment, the timid girl he knew vanished, and a burst of strategy emerged. Hope surged, intertwining with the fear gripping his heart. But just as quickly, doubts clawed at the back of his mind. Was this merely a fluke? And as doubts from other parents echoed in his mind amidst the spectators' whispers, a reality crept back in their struggles, the unequal playing field, the fear of societal pressures looming large. Tom's gaze narrowed on the chessboard, trapped between pride in her capability and terror about the life she would face. A pivotal moment was unfolding before him, and he felt like a marionette, strings fraying, ready to snap. Would he risk it all, tiptoe closer to her dreams, or would he retreat into the safety of what he knew? As Lily's game progressed, he realized they were standing on the edge of everything. Tom's breath caught as he watched Lily's decisive move. The pieces shifted, the tension built. This wasn't just a game, it was a battle of wills. He'd seen that look before, the spark of determination ignited in her eyes. But as pride swelled within him, another wave of anxiety crashed over him. What if this victory showcased only a fleeting glimmer of brilliance, an ephemeral glimpse of potential? And then what? The crushing reality of their daily struggles loomed as close as the board itself, the chaos of their lives threatening to engulf them. That he focused intently as Lily's opponent pushed back, responding with calculated aggression. Each move revealed more about the players than just strategy. She was poised, yet he could sense her uncertainty grow with each counter. Could she feel the weight of expectations descending upon her? Tom's vision narrowed on her expression, a silent plea breaking through the mask of concentration. "Stay focused, Lil," he whispered under his breath, unable to resist the urge to offer her support even if he feared destabilizing her concentration. He regretted it instantly. Averting her gaze from the board, she quickly scanned the room before locking eyes with him. Clarity coursed through her, a single moment of connection that he didn't know she needed and, in turn, needed from him. But what would that connection demand of him? The idea of her bravery contrasted starkly against his own internal struggle. He couldn't help but feel the weight of his choices. The decision to enter this world for her was born of love, yet fraught with fears of inadequacy. He had always been the protector, the provider. Now, in this new arena, perhaps he was the vulnerable one. With every tick of the clock, Tom felt time twisting a concurrent battle of his own insecurities against the prospect of his daughter's burgeoning independence. When she finally executed a brilliant sequence, placing her opponent in check, murmurs rippled through the crowd. He could nearly hear the skeptical whispers that haunted his thoughts. What if this only leads to disappointment? Each move took a piece of him, an essential role stripped away as he realized he had been the one projecting his fears onto her. The truth was, he wanted her to win not just this game, but against all odds life had stacked against them. What if this world, the chess club, this tournament could be Lily's ally, a pathway to discovering her capabilities? What was lost in these ambitions, and what transformations awaited if he allowed her to step fully into her potential? As the game progressed, he noticed something shift in her demeanor. With each confident maneuver, the gulf that had separated his world from hers began to bridge. He watched her embrace the challenge, and a revelation struck him. This was her moment to grow. The game reached its climax, and Tom could taste the tension in the air, could feel the reverberations of his own unrealized dreams echoing the smallest whispers of hope. He felt the line between failure and success blur both for Lily and himself. The fear of losing her innocence battled with the desire to let her spread her wings. In this glimmer of a moment, he saw the contours of a new identity forming for both of them. As she sealed light on that final move, the satisfaction of victory shimmered in her eyes. But for Tom, the win was complicated. It illuminated a path fraught with uncertainty. Would he continue to allow her to step boldly into challenges beyond chess, to test her mettle in all aspects of life? With Lily's triumph, a storm of emotions surged within him. The question lingered like a dark cloud overhead: what would he do next? The stakes had shifted, exposing the fragility of their past and the potential of their future. As the applause began to swell around them, he felt acutely aware that he could no longer remain a passive observer. The moment of clarity demanded action, a confrontation of his own fears and aspirations. As she turned to him, a triumphant smile gracing her face, he understood the gravity of his responsibilities lay upon this newfound horizon of possibilities. He wasn't merely her father, he was a participant in this journey, and now it was time for him to step forward alongside her, ready to navigate the uncharted paths that awaited them both. But would he have the courage to face the journey ahead? The lingering question haunted him as he caught her eyes again, reflecting the undeniable urge for something far greater to unfold. As victory settled around them, a harsher reality loomed just beyond, one that he must confront before the next game was even on the board. Tom blinked against the sudden brightness of their shared victory. Applause rang like bells, inundating his thoughts with echoes of what just transpired. But at the center of the storm of noise, his heart thudded repeatedly, barely holding on to the elation of the moment. He felt trapped between celebration and anxieties, unable to shed the old layers of fear he'd accumulated over the years. His gaze fixed on Lily, standing proud, a beacon of potential shimmering before him, yet doubt gripped him. He leaned against the back of the chair, still, processing the significance of her win. She had claimed a moment that was uniquely hers, a launch pad for growth. At that moment, she was no longer just his little girl, she was becoming a force, yet with this elevation came a thunderous question: could he carry the same momentum into his own life? How could he embrace the transformation that was unfolding in Lily without confronting the stagnation in his own? As the crowd began to disperse, his initial instinct was to retreat, to let the euphoria wash over him without engaging deeply with its implications. But then a shift occurred. He noted the excited glances of other parents, their pride reflecting in the smiles they shared while lounging near one another. Here he was, isolated by his own fears, watching others engage in a dialogue of possibility. Tom felt an urge to challenge that inertia. Wasn't this the very reason they had entered this space? He realized he had a chance not only to support Lily's journey but to redefine his path alongside her. He'd spent years in the shadows of safety and predictability. Perhaps what was unfolding here, this unfamiliar space of risk, could empower him to pursue his own unfulfilled dreams. Tom straightened up and caught Lily's eye, the carefree laughter on her face illuminating everything around them. She approached him, and in that moment, he could see her eagerness to discuss her victory. The questions clumped at the edge of her thoughts, waiting for release. "Dad, did you see that? I can't believe I did it." Her excitement surged into him, a lifeline extending into his thoughts. "I saw every move, Lil. You played beautifully." The pride in his voice felt genuine, and the spark ignited something within him, a flicker of ambition he had long neglected. "All because you were there, Dad. It helped me focus." Those words dug in deep, reminding him of the unacknowledged truths he had instinctively chosen to ignore. It wasn't merely her success, he too needed focus, conviction, and self-assertion. "Well, if you can do that, then I think I should push myself too," he murmured, feeling a swell of inspiration. "What do you mean?" she asked, tilting her head, curiosity evident in her brows. A weighty silence lingered, inviting moments of reflection, burgeoning with potential. He loved chess and had once entertained dreams of playing competitively. Yet he found himself absorbed in the trials of daily life, shuffling responsibilities like he was rearranging the pieces on a board, but with no real strategy. Could he reclaim that passion? Tom felt the tremor of anxiety rise, desire for action. What would it feel like to face the fear of failure, not just for Lily, but for himself as well? The chess pieces before him transformed into more than just game tools. They represented the tapestry of aspirations left dormant, a chance to reconnect with his identity beyond fatherhood. "Lily, what if we practice together?" The suggestion slipped out unexpectedly, its simplicity sending a jolt of excitement coursing through him. "Really?" she asked, her eyes wide, reflecting not only enthusiasm but an unexpected depth of responsibility now resting on both their shoulders. "Yeah, let us work on formations, strategies, everything. Maybe even enter some tournaments of our own." The realization of what he was proposing solidified in the air. This path was no longer about her alone, it was about discovering their shared experiences, celebrating triumphs, and confronting vulnerabilities together. He was ready to fight against the emerging barriers of inadequacy. Now, the journey beckoned them, yet a feeling of trepidation remained within him. Was he truly prepared for the implications of stepping into this dual role? As the sun began to dip outside, shadowing them, a familiar uncertainty lingered. The stakes had risen again, and he must discern whether he could trust in this chance for transformation. Would he find the courage to embrace the chessboard of life laid out before them both, and could he lift Lily to even greater heights as they ventured into the unknown? The promise of the next move sparked in his mind, an unspoken tension lingering in the air, urging him to contemplate the decisions that lay ahead. Tom couldn't escape the magnetic pull of their conversation that day, nor the determination that brewed inside him. As they drove home, the radio blared into the van's empty space, but his thoughts drowned out the music. The implications of his offhand proposal settled heavily, a partnership that prompted a need for commitment he hadn't anticipated. When they reached their neighborhood, Tom turned to Lily. "Why don't we outline a plan for our practice sessions?" The words tumbled out, catalyzed by an urgency he hadn't felt in years. "Okay. We could practice every Saturday morning," she suggested, her eyes dancing with excitement. This was more than a game, this was a structure forming around their aspirations, a fabric of camaraderie woven from a shared goal. "Right, and maybe we can target some local tournaments to keep things interesting," he added, fighting the voices in his head that warned against aiming too high. A whirlwind of visions flashed before him: tournament games, Lily's rising stock among peers, and revealing a competitor inside him that had lain dormant. Wouldn't that be exhilarating? But with that thrill came a wave of hesitation. What if I fail? The thought pierced through moments of eagerness, revealing vulnerabilities that still lurked. He had been enveloped in a cocoon of security for so long. Could he really expose himself to the risk of failure? They gathered around the kitchen table that night, a variety of chess pieces sprawled out like dormant soldiers ready for battle. Let us establish some foundational strategies first, he suggested, his hands trembling slightly as he picked up a knight. Dad, what's your favorite opening? Lily's enthusiasm ground down the doubt. What does it matter? I haven't played in ages. Her brow furrowed, beginnings of confusion spilling onto her face. You know you can't just dismiss it because you haven't played recently. You have to trust yourself. Her childlike confidence knocked against the wall of his self-doubt. Could he truly be good at this again? The mental landscape shifted, unraveling insecurities tangled in the pursuits of adult life. As she set up the pieces, he understood they were both ready to learn, Lily mirroring his fears, yet bravely stepping forward. That it took a moment, but he finally spoke, words forming with a newfound determination. All right, I'll show you the king's gambit. It's risky, but exciting. Just like life sometimes. Lily stared at him, brimming with unfiltered belief. See? You do know it. Let us start practicing now. As they played, Tom felt the tumult lift slightly, the cloud of insecurities clearing with every calculated move they made together. Whether it was Lily laughing after a tactical blunder or him grimacing after a stinging defeat, they were building resilience through shared experiences. Gradually, moves began to feel familiar, and the rhythms of the game ignited the familiar passion he thought had waned. Anxiety lurked in the background, occasionally vocalizing its doubts, but his resolve strengthened against it. If she could dig deep within herself, then so could he. The next week flowed into practice, and then another, each session encasing their bond under layers of sincerity and challenge. They became a team fumbling through wins and losses, reintroducing strategy into their lives in an unexpected and profound way, but in the quiet hours each night, Tom wrestled more with a weighty truth. Tournaments were looming, revealing how not only would he play, but he'd also be judged. What if he let Lily down? What if she saw him falter, unable to reclaim his past? Thin and frayed, the divide between anxiety and anticipation grew narrower with each passing session. The risk felt tangible now, embedded in the potential for both validation and rejection. With every practice session, he was reminded of the stakes not just for himself but for Lily, who deserved a confident father at her side. As they sat across from each other, their eyes trained on the board, Tom realized the choices ahead would define not only their futures in chess but their very lives intertwined. A pang of urgency surged through him. Was he ready to fully step into this new role with Lily? The satisfaction of the game lay ahead, yet so, too, did the moment when he would confront truth head-on. The clock ticked toward their next session as he mused over his resolve. The piece he needed to move lay within his own uncertainty. Could he learn to face the fear of inadequacy head-on? Would he rise to meet his daughter, or retreat back into familiar solitude? A sudden resolve yearned to take root, and the next tournament whispered promises of potential if he could only embrace it. With their next practice approaching, one question lingered ominously. Would he find the courage to rise against his own doubts and push forward? Tom stood in the kitchen, the sunlight filtering through the window as he and Lily prepared for another practice session. The chess board was set, pieces gleamed in the light. But more than that, a new energy crackled between them, a palpable excitement tempered by the weight of their new commitment. As he arranged his side, Tom's thoughts spiraled. What were those feelings of fear and anticipation? He found himself recalling the sense of exhilaration buried beneath the mundane rhythms of work and daily routines. It became evident that chess was more than a game. It was a portal back to aspirations, a crucible of growth where they would forge skills and enhance their connection. Let us try a few scenarios, he suggested, channeling his uncertainties into strategy. He traced his finger along the surface of the board. What would you do if I moved my knight here? Lily's brow furrowed, her face scrunching in concentration. She hesitated, but then a smile broke through. I'd move my bishop. I can put your knight in check. Tom nodded, his heart swelling with pride as she captured the essence of the game. Each move was a lesson, but it wasn't only about winning or losing. It was about understanding risk, strategy, and, most importantly, resilience. He coached her through different formations, feeling a spark of the old joy he'd thought lost. Think of chess as life, Lily. You have to be strategic and bold, and sometimes you have to sacrifice a piece to gain a greater position. While explaining, Tom realized he was inadvertently imparting life lessons disguised as chess strategies, transforming his anxiety into purposeful teaching. Their sessions turned into a sanctuary, a departure from reality. Yet, the ever-looming specter of the upcoming tournament grew heavier, its weight squeezing tighter around his chest. With every practice, he could see Lily evolving. Her tactics sharpened, and she communicated ideas and predictions that reflected a keen mind. But what did this mean for him? The blind spots in his confidence began to emerge, jolting him with waking uncertainty. "Dad, do you think I can win?" she asked one day, her tone laced with earnest hope. Her wide eyes glimmered with anticipation, and her faith in herself burned bright. Tom's mouth went dry. "I think you could go far, sweetheart. But remember, winning isn't everything," he replied, masking his own doubts beneath a surface of encouragement. Yet the weight of this moment was profound, highlighting both his fears and her burgeoning identity as a player. Hadn't he just voiced his own insecurity wrapped in parental wisdom? The internal conflict simmered. As he watched her skills bloom, he realized this moment was monumental. It represented both their journeys, an impending collision of fear and aspiration, confidence and doubt. Each passing day before the tournament, the weight of his perceived inadequacies grew heavier. "What if I can't keep up?" he thought, biting his lip as they continued to play. Would he be the one dragging her down when she needed him to soar? The thought was consuming, but as Lily executed a brilliant counterattack against him one Saturday, it struck him, her success would not diminish his own. What if I could embrace this challenge? The thought began to take seed. Could acceptance of vulnerability be a strength? He saw his daughter shine in her newfound prowess, and in her reflection, he began to see himself not as a failing father, but as a facilitator of her growth. As they finished their practice, a new resolve settled in. Playing against each other wasn't just about chess anymore, it was about rebuilding his confidence. The tournament approached, and with it, a moment to face their fears head-on. "I'm proud of you, Lily. No matter what happens, you've already won by pushing yourself," he said, a hint of confidence beginning to ripple through his voice. "Thanks, Dad. We'll make a great team," she replied, her joy illuminating the room, but the truth was, beneath the smile, anxiety twisted inside him. The tournament was more than a game, it was an examination of his journey, pitting his newfound resolve against his pervasive doubts. As the evening settled around them, Tom peered at the chessboard, realizing the real game was just beginning. And with tournament day looming ominously over his commitment, he felt a stirring deep within, a whisper of courage that urged him to confront his doubts and prepare for what lay ahead. The question now burrowed into his mind with relentless persistence: could he truly rise together with Lily, or would the weight of his past failures tether him down? As they packed away the pieces, the clock clicked ever closer to decisive moments that would challenge everything he thought he knew about himself as a father. Would he discover a way to conquer not just the chessboard, but the shadows lurking within? Tom woke early the next morning, the silence of dawn wrapping around him like a warm blanket. As he brewed coffee, he glanced toward the chessboard they had left set up the night before, its pieces still in their strategic formation. The tournament loomed ever nearer, and with it, the internal chaos of thoughts spiraling in his mind. A part of him was ready to embrace this journey with Lily, while another clung to doubt that he had always been the steady anchor, a role he had mastered through his years of fatherhood. But now the scales felt unbalanced. The thought of becoming her liability gnawed at him as he took a sip of his coffee. What if he miscalculated, not just on the board, but in her development? The fleeting realization that this was as much about his growth as it was about hers struck hard. This was not just a game, but a reflection of their lives. Each practice session became a microcosm of life's larger chess game: choices, compromises, and the inevitable clash of personalities. He had watched Lily navigate through complex formations with surprising intuition, each move symbolizing a burgeoning independence that was thrilling yet daunting. Would he be ready to trust her instincts, perhaps even more than his own? As the days flowed into each other, the anticipation of the competition hung in the air. Lily's confidence bloomed with every passing game, and he felt a desperate urgency to catch up. She had begun to approach the board with a fierce creativity that he admired, her eyes sparkling with determination. Each time she challenged him with a new strategy, a sliver of envy and pride mingled within him. "Dad, let us try the Berlin defense today. She proposed one afternoon, her excitement bubbling over. It was a term that Tom had often read about, but never fully embraced. The very idea of trying something unfamiliar stirred within him both exhilaration and anxiety. Sure, but why don't you explain it to me first? He replied, trying to channel her energy. He needed to learn from her, not just teach. As she animatedly walked him through the nuances of the defense, breaking it down into digestible pieces, he found himself enraptured. It was as if he were witnessing her intellect unfold right before his eyes. The way she passionately detailed the importance of maintaining center control, coupled with the strategic development of pieces, was a revelation. Dad, it's about being patient. Sometimes you trade an immediate victory for a stronger position later on, she said, her words echoing with wisdom. In that moment, Tom recognized a fundamental shift within him. He wasn't just there to coach his daughter, he realized he was learning from her just as much. Acceptance dawned. He could channel his vulnerability and insecurities into a source of strength, allowing them to reshape both their identities. Several days later, standing in front of the chessboard once again, a notion birthed from a blend of pride and responsibility ignited within him. He looked at Lily, who was deeply focused on the arrangement of pieces, and he knew it was time to share his own fears. Lily, can we talk about the tournament? Her head snapped up, eyes full of curiosity. I want you to know, I'm scared too, he confessed, vulnerability lacing his tone. I'm scared of letting you down, scared of not being good enough. But seeing you embrace this challenge helps me realize I can grow, too. A momentary silence hung between them, heavy yet liberating. Then, to his surprise, she smiled wider. Your fear can be what makes us a better team, Dad. We can support each other. In that instant, it became clear to Tom. This was not just about the tournament, it was about crafting a bond that encompassed both their strengths and weaknesses. He would no longer view his past failures as shackles but rather as stepping stones, opportunities for growth alongside his daughter. I'm in, he declared. Let us tackle this challenge together. As they resumed their game, their synergy felt renewed. Strategizing together felt like crafting the very foundation of their relationship. Bound by mutual support and understanding. The journey was richer than he had anticipated. But a heaviness still lurked within. The tournament was approaching, and the fear loomed like a shadow over their victories, a reminder that the real battle was about to unfold. Could he really trust in their partnership and let go of his anxiety, or would this moment reveal cracks in the very foundation they were trying to build? As the evening shadows deepened, the clock ticked closer to that pivotal day. The anticipation mingled with doubt, urging him to confront his greatest resistance head-on. Soon, they would step out of the sanctuary of their home into the unpredictable world of competition. Morning light seeped through the curtains, warming the room as Tom sat at the chessboard, the pieces meticulously arranged just as they had practiced. This was more than just a game now, it was the embodiment of their journey, a vivid landscape of their emotions. Lily had a tournament match today, and the gravity of that reality pressed on him like heavy stones. Tom had been revisiting all those chess strategies Lily introduced to him, particularly the Berlin defense. He had tried to grasp its nuances, the potential it held to shift the balance in her favor. However, the complexities still tangled in his mind, genuinely overwhelming him. Would he be able to support her on this crucial day, especially with the added weight of their impending match against seasoned players? The truth was, Tom had never faced such a high-stakes game. As he practiced the moves alone, he could feel doubt encroaching again, whispering eerie reminders of his past mistakes. Mirrored in the board were images of not just his failures but those of a man who constantly doubted himself. Tom, focus. He muttered to himself, forcing his gaze back to the board. He envisioned Lily sitting across from him, the confidence she brought to those sessions flooding back. Her vibrant enthusiasm had reignited a flame in him, one that he desperately wanted to nurse today. Yet, the nagging thought prickled at him, what if he stumbled, not just in strategy but in the confidence he needed to convey? As he sipped coffee that had long gone cold, he decided it was time to address the deeper issues gnawing inside him. Today wasn't solely about playing chess, it was a challenge of trust, a battle against his own fears. He told Lily they could support each other, but he wasn't entirely convinced he could let that happen without faltering under the weight of vulnerability. Perhaps the real fight wasn't at the tournament, it was here, within the walls of his mind. What if he had to confront his inadequacies as a parent, the worry that he still viewed himself as only a teacher, not a co-pilot in her growth? The more he mused over it, the clearer the path ahead became. The tournament could serve as their initiation into a new belief system where failure didn't define them but rather guided them in discovering hidden strengths. As he paced the room, he understood the situation required proactive communication. They had built this intricate fabric of trust, he owed it to Lily to be transparent. Fueled by a newfound determination, he sought her out, finding her immersed in a book about the tournament's history and strategies. "Hey, Lily," he started, his voice steadying with breath, "can we talk for a minute?" She looked up, enthusiasm sparking in her eyes. "Sure, Dad. I just finished reading about some famous matches. I can't wait to implement a few ideas." Taking a deep breath, Tom knelt beside her, meeting her gaze. "I want to share something important. I'm not just excited, I'm also scared about today. Scared I won't be good enough, scared I might hold you back." Her expression shifted, the initial sparkle dimming as she processed his words. "But Dad, that's okay." "It's okay to be scared," she replied gently, a hint of compassion threading through her voice. "I'm a little scared too. But remember, we're a team, right?" His heart warmed at her maturity, and in that moment, it struck him that their partnership was not dependent on victory or defeat. It was built on trust, shared experiences, understanding each other's fears. Empowered by this realization, he felt a surge of optimism. "Absolutely, a team. You know, why don't we visualize our game strategy once more together?" he proposed, brimming with anticipation. As they delved into preparations, Tom discovered something he hadn't consciously acknowledged before. He started to embrace their dynamic in fresh ways, grounded by a sense of trust that both fueled his confidence and drew them closer. Today was not merely about winning, it was about combing through the layers of vulnerability to light up their partnership, but even as they strategized, another thought loomed in the back of his mind. What if competing wasn't just about the external challenges they faced, but also the unshakable test of their internal battles with self-doubt? The notion sent a ripple of anxiety through him, intertwining with the excitement building for the tournament. How would they fare when put against real competitors, those who lived and breathed chess? Would his newly discovered confidence be enough to withstand their pressure? As the time drew closer to head to the venue, Tom looked at Lily and felt ready to conquer the fear that stiffened within him, knowing their journey together had just begun. But lurking beneath the surface of newfound hope was a distinct question: would this be enough to navigate the high stakes of the tournament? Despite the anticipation hanging thick in the air, Tom felt an unsettling breach within him as they approached the venue. The buzzing crowd could easily become a cacophony, drowning out their inner voices. He could see the gradual shift in Lily, her earlier enthusiasm now morphing into a bubbling mixture of excitement and tension. Tom adjusted his grip on the car keys absent-mindedly, the metal cool against his palm, grounding him. The stakes were rising, yet he had little control over the atmosphere, nor the experienced players surrounding them. As they parked, the vibrant murmur of anticipation from other competitors echoed in his mind, resembling the unpredictability of chess, a game he was yet to fully grasp. The moment they stepped inside, a nervous energy sprang forth. Familiar faces greeted them, but Tom only had eyes for Lily. She had always absorbed such environments easily, connecting with other players and feeding off their energy. Today, however, he sensed a shift. Uncharacteristically quiet, she kept glancing at the chessboards being set up, the looming dark squares of the future filling her stare. "Lily, you all right?" he prompted, scanning her face for answers. "Just thinking," she responded, her voice tightened with each word. "What if I mess up my opening move?" Tom's heart sank as the realization hit him. She, too, was wrestling with self-doubt, anguish mirrored in his soul. He felt the responsibility of being her support bleed over into a wildcard of volatility, where even his confidence seemed fragile. "There's a world of possibilities," he said, feeling the need to restrain the tide of his own fears. "Whatever the move, we'll figure it out together. Remember, you've practiced hard for this." As they traversed the hall toward their designated table, Tom sensed that his words were a well-intentioned yet tenuous comfort. He glanced at the other players, caught up in their own mental battles, and began to wonder if he, too, was merely a pawn in a game played beyond the board. While Lily began to warm up with the chess set, he stepped back slightly, allowing himself a moment of reflection. There was familiarity in seeing her navigate her own role within this game, a burgeoning realization that he had not banked enough on her ability to adapt. It startled him, as if he had underestimated not just her competence, but the depth of their collaboration. As time approached for their match, he slid beside her, engaging her insight. Maybe share with me how you plan to open today. I'd love to hear your strategy. Her brow furrowed, and then she lit up, transforming the nervous energy into enthusiasm. Well, with the Berlin defense they delved into a discussion that went beyond themselves. His mind raced to connect her idea with the theories he had pored over in hours of solitude. He realized this was less about his own self-doubt and more about cultivating her confidence. It was akin to the pivot of the chess pieces nudging forward to allow room for emergence and growth. When the tournament time finally arrived, Tom watched as Lily prepared to face her first opponent. Each competitor was a mirror reflecting his deeply seated doubts, yet he steadied himself, realizing that he needed to let go of his insecurity to breathe into the experience. As he guided her from the sidelines, seizing the moment, he decided to give her one last pep talk. You've got this, Lily. What's important is you put forth your best. Trust your instincts. As she nodded, he felt their connection manifest as something almost tangible. Confidence blossomed in the air between them, wrapping them in a cloak of trust. The first match began, and as the pieces started to move, Tom held his breath. In Lily's opening gambit, he witnessed a spark, a decision that stung him with clarity. Her first move would expose more than mere skills. It unveiled a collaborative spirit that transcended their earlier fears, but as he leaned closer to absorb the unfolding dynamic of her game, a harsher undertow swirled within him. What if facing this first opponent didn't merely test Lily, but rather unearths hidden tensions that lay dormant in his own psyche? In that very moment, he knew not just Lily's journey but his was set in unprecedented motion. How could they overcome this together? And most importantly, what fears could this tournament lay bare within the intersections of competition and profound trust? Tom stood transfixed, lines of sweat beading on his forehead as Lily moved her first piece. The chessboard, with its familiar yet haunting arrangement of squares, felt alive under the weight of new possibilities. Each move wasn't merely a part of a game, it was a testimony to their intertwined destinies, the nascent trust transforming the air between them into something palpable. But it was this very essence of choice and consequence that ignited an unshed fear within Tom. Each time a piece was moved, he felt the undertow grow stronger, drawing forth remnants of doubt previously buried. Why must he still grapple with these shadows of insecurity? Was he not here to support Lily, to celebrate her courage? Yet with every strategic plan she executed, he gained a glimpse of the larger struggle brewing within himself, an uninvited challenge that reared its head amid his attempts to foster confidence in her. The clock ticked slowly, the tournament atmosphere thrummed with ambition, every participant locked in their mental battles. Tom watched as Lily played with a focus that reminded him of the concentrated stillness before a thunderous storm. He recalled the days spent poring over books on chess strategies, hoping to be a source of strength for her when so much felt at stake. Yet today, unexpectedly, he felt more like a spectator, observing as she carved out a path for herself. Her next move was deliberate, each action within the confines of the chessboard echoing in Tom's mind, forging paths of reflection. Could he truly navigate the maze of his own ambitions while guiding her? He felt the familiar impulse to step in, to guide her every move as he used to, yet this was a different dance. The echoes of insistent desires for control collided with an emerging appreciation for her capability. In his heart, he wrestled with the stark notion that his influence over her destiny was limited, often outmatched by her own latent potential. "Breathe, Tom," he whispered under his breath, trying to silence the inner critique. This was not a competition between the two of them, it was a journey they were undertaking together. As Lily leaned in closer to contemplate her next move, Tom sensed an undercurrent of determination emanating from her. The internal storm in his mind collided with that steadfast resolve, and in that moment, something clicked. He wasn't just there to support her, he was witnessing her evolution. It was a profound recognition that while he had once seen himself as Lily's mentor, she was beginning to reveal complexities within herself that he had previously overlooked. The thought struck him, revealing a hidden truth. Her growth demanded space for independence, even if it challenged him to confront his own doubts. It was as if she was carving her own identity, and with it, a redefined place for him in her journey. In an unexpected surge of confidence, Lily executed a surprising move that forced her opponent to rethink their strategy. Tom's heart swelled with pride, but what came next surprised him more. Fear shifted to admiration as he realized he was simultaneously witnessing her growth and unpacking the layers of his own insecurities. Suddenly aware that he could not light the path for her entire journey, he resolved to become a better ally. Could he reshape his influence? With the match progressing, Tom felt the tension of the moment weave tighter around him. The clarity he sought hung just out of reach, but something deeper was unfolding. Was he ready to embrace not only the fear of losing but also the exhilaration of witnessing transformation in someone he cared for deeply? The realization that each chess move was akin to crafting one's destiny became a seed for his own growth. The rush of these thoughts, a sudden realization cracked the surface. Could this tournament be the catalyst that forced him to redefine his identity as Lily's supporter? What if his own journey hinged upon letting go of control in favor of mutual growth? As the seconds slipped away, he turned back to the board, watching intently. A pivotal decision loomed, not just for Lily but for him. The match would conclude soon, and within each tick of the clock lay a question that could alter the fabric of their relationship forever. What truths would emerge from this fierce competition, challenging both their strengths and vulnerabilities? And as the pieces continued to dance across the board, a deeper urgency gripped Tom. How would he navigate the revelations that loomed ahead? And more importantly, was he prepared to embrace the pivotal changes that awaited them both? As the final moments of the tournament unfolded, Tom's pulse quickened. Time had become elastic, every second stretched into an eternity as he observed his daughter pouring her heart and strategic mind into the game. Lily's focus was razor-sharp, her confidence rippling through the competitive atmosphere. Each move she made resonated within him, igniting a fresh sense of purpose. In those fleeting seconds before the end, Lily's determination laid bare a truth that echoed in Tom's mind. This was not merely a competition of pieces and strategy. This was their journey, defined by mutual growth and shared aspirations. Having stepped from his role as just her protector, he felt himself transform into an ally, one who was as committed to his own evolution as he had been to fostering hers. Suddenly, a surge of clarity washed over him. Tom had grappled with self-doubt and inadequacy at every turn, yet witnessing Lily navigate the chessboard with such mastery illuminated an essential understanding. She was not just rising to meet expectations, she was carving a path solely hers, a bearer of her dreams and fears. With every piece she moved, Tom felt the weight of his earlier reservations dissipate. The humming anxiety slipped from his shoulders, replaced by an unwavering certainty. Today was the day he would step into his own achievements not just as Lily's father, but as someone who would learn alongside her, accepting the challenges on his own chessboard of life. Check! Lily exclaimed as she positioned her queen with triumphant precision, her voice cutting through the murmur of the crowd. Tom beamed, pride swelling within him like a tide. In that moment, she had seized victory not only against her opponent but over the burdens they both had carried thus far. As applause resonated through the air, Tom's eyes glistened with tears of joy and realization. No longer did he harbor fears of inadequacy, he was proud. Serving as the emotional support Lily desperately needed, he let go of the notion that his own growth was tied to her success. Instead, he understood that their victories would be celebrated together, encouraging one another to leap forward. With her opponent conceding defeat, Lily turned toward her father, radiating a glow of triumph. "I did it, Dad." "Not just that, Lily. We did it," he replied, pulling her into a heartfelt embrace. The bond they forged through chess had solidified into something more profound. It was a realization that transcended the game, reshaping their relationship. They were partners in their individual pursuits, unafraid to tackle the unknown together. In the days that followed, the tournament results solidified Lily's recognition as a formidable competitor in the chess community. But what mattered most to Tom was how this experience sparked a revival in his own ambitions. With each practice session, he found excitement reigniting the dreams he'd set aside for too long. No longer a spectator of life with a fear of inadequacy, he became an active participant, committed to pursuing his own passions with renewed vigor. Their shared journey into chess evolved into a dynamic partnership that encapsulated support and courage, further propelling them into the realm of possibilities. Tom had finally faced the daunting shadows of his self-doubt, emerging with a solid sense of resilience and solid confidence. He was equipped to embrace life's adversities, not only as Lily's father but as a newly reconstructed individual in his own right. Reflecting on this transformative experience, Tom couldn't help but feel proud of the man he was becoming, an individual who had conquered first the perception of failure and then the habit of sidelining his own hopes. In those swift moments that interconnected both their destinies like interlocking chess pieces, he felt hope surge through him, unbroken. No longer encapsulated by fear, Tom had embarked on a magnificent journey, the journey of achieving greatness alongside his daughter, hand in hand, ready to explore the mysteries life would inevitably throw their way. This was it. Tom had embraced his truth. He had learned the lessons of resilience and commitment both to himself and his daughter. With newfound confidence, he knew they could face their future adventures head-on. As a celebrated team. As they exited the venue, he turned to Lily with renewed determination. "Let us go grab ice cream to celebrate, but also discuss our next chess practice. I have some exciting ideas I want to share. Together, we'll keep pushing each other." In that moment, with the sun setting and hopes high, Tom felt the weight of the past lift entirely, replaced by the invigorated spirit of possibility. This was a profound personal achievement they would cherish, a lasting legacy for their individual growth, ready to step into life's chess game and make their next strategic moves together. Don't wait another second. You need to subscribe now to our channel for exclusive, emotional stories that inspire transformation. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help us bring more tales of personal growth to you. Comment your reactions and theories about this spectacular conclusion. Your thoughts matter. Finally, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to uncover their potential through shared journeys like Tom and Lily's. Your support can make all the difference.